Tax Solutions, and I'm with Dan Palmer, and we're going to be talking about this really cool book called Expert Secrets. If you've never heard of it, it's it's amazing. In fact, I thought I knew how to sell, Dan, until I read this book and started to listen to Russell Brunson, who's masterful, right? He's like kind of like the Yoda, right? And if we're trying to be the Jedi fighter, Luke Skywalker, he's like the Yoda. He's incredible what he's done. And so this book, we're going to kind of go through it. And it's about a lot of things, but in particular, it's about essentially knowing how to communicate in a way that moves people to action, and doing it in a way it's like a framework that works amazing, right? So, and he starts with the introduction, right? So we're going to go through this book together as a way to hopefully help some people out there who are in sales, who are in marketing, who are struggling or looking for ways to level up again in their business and in their ability to serve their customers at a higher level. And the only way to serve at a higher level, Dan, is to help more people and to communicate. So before we get started, you've been in communication now for over 30 years and moving people in ministry for 30 years. Now you've joined Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and we're moving towards it's business, it's finance, it's tax, it's real estate. So just maybe talk about ways that you have found, and I'm wondering how it's actually going to weave in, because you've never actually read the book, Dan, right? And so you don't really know what we're talking about here.
Not yet.
So I'm wondering, what have you found ways that it can move people to action in your expert, 30 years of experience with communication?
Well, I've been really fortunate over 30 years, because when you're in a ministry role and you're in a leadership role that people accept and respect, you have a automatic open door to have conversations about some of the most difficult things in life. So, they might come and talk about business, but they also might be talking about their kids. They might be talking about their marriage. They might be talking about their spiritual life. So, my job in those areas are to move them towards health, to move them towards fullness, to move them towards trust in God. And I think some of the most powerful tools I've utilized is, one, storytelling. Storytelling's powerful. You can explain principles, but when people can see it in action, it resonates with them, and they say, okay, now I can see what I'm supposed to do. Another thing is authenticity. Just being real, being completely honest about your own life and your own journey and the things that you're thinking about. And so I think that's been another powerful tool that's moved people. And then third, hope. Hope for me is the big thing. When people are normally communicating, they're looking for hope, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it's purpose in life. They're saying, is there hope that things are going to get better? Is there hope that I can leave a legacy? Is there hope that I can improve and make my dreams come true? And so I think approaching even the most difficult circumstances with the idea of giving hope to people that maybe feel that they're at the end of their rope or that things aren't going their way, and saying there's a better day in front of you, that's inspiring, and that makes people willing to change.
Absolutely love that. Yeah. Story, authenticity, hope, and doing it in a way which is going to move people to change and to take action. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. And saying, in fact, we're literally going to go through this book. We're going to try to make these videos maybe about 20 minutes, 25 minutes here. We're going to go back book by chapter, and I'm going to read a little bit, and then we're going to be inspired, and we're going to share some of the wisdom that we're gleaning from it. And hopefully you as the listener are also going to get that wisdom too. And so here we go. It's introduction. The first chapter is how to change the lives of customers you've been called to serve. It says, and this is Russell talking, Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets. As I walked into my inner circle meeting that day, I saw two faces that had just joined the group. They looked a little bit like deer in the headlight, not sure whether they were in the right room. Now notice that he starts immediately with a story, right? He's capturing attention, and he's starting immediately with a story, what Dan just talked about, right? There were 21 people in that mastermind meeting, including me, and we were sitting around 3 long tables that were laid out in a big horseshoe shape with a spot for one person to present in the front of the group. He's also bringing to life the actual room itself and some of the details, right? So you can almost envision yourself with them there. As they started the meeting, I asked everyone to introduce themselves and tell about their current business. When I got to Ryan Lee and Brad Gibb, I heard I could hear the hesitation in their voices. We're successful financial planners. About 3 weeks ago, we saw this book called .com Secrets. We bought a copy of it, as well as all of the upsells. The next week, we found about the event of Funnel Hacking Live. It was happening that weekend, so we quickly bought tickets, booked flights and hotels, flew to the event. Anyways, it's going right into a client testimonial story, right? So it's the first story, and then it's a client testimonial story. And he says, we flew home. They went to the event. They couldn't sleep, knowing that we needed to be in the group. So in the morning, we applied to join one of the funnels. We hired him for $50,000. Now we're here in Boise with all of you. So they saw something from Russell. They saw what they needed, and they took massive action. And now we're here. We're living proof that what basically Russell can do is works. So everyone started to laugh because that process of how all that them got into the room was very similar. We want to be able to have our customers experience what just happened to us. We want to try to have our funnels, they responded. No one in our industry is doing anything like this, but we know it works. So after everyone finished introducing themselves, I told them that the meeting was going to be a little different than normal. You see, about a year earlier, I had launched my first book, .com Secrets, which taught people how to grow their companies online with sales funnels. During that time, we saw more than 10,000 people join ClickFunnels, and I watched as tens of thousands of new funnels went live online. As exciting as it was for me to see so many funnels being built, I couldn't help but notice that most of the funnels that went live never generated any leads or made any actual money. There's a big difference between making a funnel and making a funnel that actually converts online visitors into lifeline customers. Now, what's also interesting about Russell here too, now he's presenting a problem and or a felt need that he has experienced with others, and he's putting it here as an opportunity to see, well, do I connect with that same problem? So Dan, so far, this has just been three paragraphs. Anything that kind of sticks out or anything you want to highlight that I said?
I'm not sure where the story's going because, like you said, I haven't read that book yet. But what I noticed right off is that as he's telling this story, he's making it very clear that these two newcomers to the group took massive movement to change where they were. And I think that's kind of, I'm very interested in where it's going to go, but for them to hear about the group and then buy tickets, pay the fee, book a hotel, travel there, walk into a room where they didn't know anyone, where it was obvious that they were uncomfortable, speaks of their desire to have something different in their life. And that's one of the things I try to talk to people about too is, hey, if we're having this conversation, it's because something in your life isn't what you want it to be. And if you want to change that, you're going to have to do something. You can't just sit in a place and have things change. You have to propel yourself forward. And so I think he's expressing that idea that these guys, their life wasn't exactly what they wanted yet, and they took massive action to do it. And now he's going to talk about the result of that action.
Absolutely. And so let's keep going here a little bit more here. So it says, over the next 2 days that you are here in Boise, we are going to talk less about actual funnels and more about how to get people who come into your funnels to become raving fans. I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of persuasion, story selling, building a tribe, becoming a leader, and how to communicate with the people who enter your funnels. If I do my job right, you're no longer going to look at business as a product or service or even an offer, but instead you'll look at it as a movement of people you've been called to serve, right? And I think that's so key. Like if you're looking at this and you are in sales, you are in marketing, you are in anything that you're serving a customer with a business or product or whatever you've been called to do, like, are you focused like a laser on the calling to serve those people at the highest level in a way that will compel them to move to action? And so that's the most important, I think, part of this book so far is the mindset. So I spent the next 2 days for the first time ever teaching the Expert Secrets frameworks that you're going to find in this book. These frameworks are the key to attracting your dream customers and breaking their false beliefs so you can serve them at the highest level. So there's the product or service, there's the offer, there's the movement. As you become an expert, you'll find yourself moving away from just selling a product or service to creating offers and finally to leading a movement. Little did I know how much of an impact these 2 days would have on so many people in my funnel hacking community. Some of the people who were in the room that day shifted their business from the product-based business to movements that have gone to change millions of people's lives. I watched over the next few months as Brandon and Caitlin Poland took their business 12-time trainer and transformed into Lady Boss movement that has helped transform the lives of more than 1 million women worldwide, selling supplements, coaching, and information products. Alex and Leila Hormozi went from the gym owners to the leaders of Gym Launch Movement, which has helped thousands of gym owners attract members they can serve. So now he's talking about the transformation, right? So this introduction it started with story. It started with like testimony from someone who was perhaps in your shoes. It went to the problem, the challenge, and now he's showing the outcome, and it's just the intro. Basically, he's giving us a front to back of what's going to be in the book and how we're going to accomplish it. So he goes on to talk about a couple of people who've done amazing things.
Hey, I got a question first, Brett.
Yeah, go Dan.
In your perspective, he talks about having a product or creating a movement. In your opinion, what are the key differences between those two mindsets?
Yeah, I think that's great. So I think a product, you're more focused on transaction, right? So it's more like a one-time thing. It's hey, I'm going to provide this product or this service one time, and then it stops there. And it's again, it's transactional. It's almost like, if you think of like Amazon, right? I don't have a relationship with Jeff Bezos. I go and I click a button and it shows up in my store, right? Or at my door. The other side of that is a relationship, right? The full side is how deeply can you connect with somebody and serve them beyond just what your product is providing for them. And I think a lot of times we think that we can fall into the product itself is only going to solve one thing. Well, it's more than that, right? If you can really deeply connect on the relationship side, and that's when it starts to become a movement, because now it's unlocking and you're serving them at a higher level. And so that means different things for different people. For ours, with the deferred sales trust, right? Some people think, oh, it's just tax deferral, right? Like it's just like an IRA. Well, it's actually more than that if it's multiple millions of dollars of exits on businesses or real estate, and you're transitioning into a wealth legacy play and or preservation and or cash flow that can unlock opportunity for freedom. And so now that starts to create the movement. But in order to actually do that, I've got to know hopefully at a deeper level than just the finances of what someone is trying to accomplish, which leads into yesterday's call, right? We were talking with the gentleman who was selling. His name was Mike. And we asked him, Mike, but why are you selling? Like what's the motivation behind this? And he started talking about how his wife was working full time, and how if he could unlock this capital and this property that was worth, I think, around 1.7 million, 1.5, and that capital was earning about a 3% interest return on equity. And if we can unlock it into the trust and we could double, maybe even, more than double his income, that would unlock her to be able to home full time. Do you remember that, Dan?
Yep.
And then what did he go on to say about what was his other motivation? Because he had done he had retired 5 years earlier, right? No kids, and they were ready to travel more. But he was feeling for himself, selfishly, he wants to spend time with his wife, in a good way, right? And he's going, how do I go make a financial move that could replace the cash flow that she's trading her time for? And it's those connections now where it's no longer just a product, it's more of a movement. Any thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, a couple things from what he said. First of all, the idea of servant leadership is really important. Oftentimes people think of the leader as just the person that's on the stage, or the person that has the microphone, or the person that, is the owner. But he keeps talking about serving the clients to create this community. And, even Jesus said the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life. That's probably the greatest movement the world's ever seen. So I think this idea of serving, of meeting a felt need of the people that we're coming in contact with is the beginning step to building a community. But then, having a shared vision, so moving from, providing a product to encouraging, inviting people to be a part of something greater than what their life is right now. And whatever a person's business is, when you're meeting someone's need, it is unlocking greater things. Like Brett, you just talked about legacy. You talked about time. You talked about, having time with your spouse, or time with your kids, or time with your friends. Those things are much greater than just making money or having a larger bank account. Those are life things that bring richness and joy and purpose purpose in to why you're living. So I think the product just focuses on the individual thing that you're, producing or selling. But the movement is about what does that create for you that changes the purpose and the joy of your life.
Yeah. And, Dan, I absolutely love that. And it makes me think about, temporary versus eternal, right? I think like a one-time event, right? Like a one-time thing that's external, right? That is going to have a need and help me maybe for a short period of time. When I think movement, relationship, legacy, I think eternal, things that'll be lasting for more than just my life, right? That the time I spend with my spouse and my kids and pouring into them, the time that I go launch that new company, that makes a difference in all these other people's lives, right? That's going to last for hopefully forever, right? Some kind of impact forever versus just a product that's a transaction. So he goes on to say, I believe that your business is a calling. You've been called to serve a group of people with the products, services, and offers that you've created. People come into your funnels looking for a solution to their problems. By positioning yourself as an expert and learning how to tell your story in a way that gets people to move, you're able to guide people through your value ladder, giving them the results they are looking for. This is how you change the lives of your customers, and this is how you grow your company. Okay, and so it's connecting those dots, and it's connecting the offer, the product, the service, right, to the people that you've been called to serve, right? So the first edition of this book was very popular, selling more than 200,000 copies. And I've watched the people who have taken these principles have been turned into their online visitors to lifeline customers. I have a file of literally hundreds of stories that I could share with you, every market that you could dream of. But one of the ones I'm most proud of is Brad and Ryan's story. So now he's going to go right back into story, right? So he gave some story to start. He gave testimonies to start. He gave some outcomes, like what's actually possible. He went back to the problem. He went to a little bit of teaching, but now he's going right back into story, right? And this is the part where story moves people. Our brains, like the goldfish, like the 7 seconds, right, or less. But stories tends to capture our attention, and that's why we like movies. That's why we like, we like people tell stories, not just stand up and talk facts, right? So he goes into the story, okay? They came to the inner circle meeting as the financial planners in an industry that did not use funnels. There was no proven track record for the funnel concept for .com secrets for most of these new concepts of building a movement by building a tribe. Most people in the same situation would have said this works for other companies, but not a company like mine. Instead, they were humble enough to learn and then figure out how to apply the concepts to their business, which is key, right? It's not just, you got to apply it not only to your business, but to your customer and client that you've been called to serve. So it's taking these concepts and it's applying them in a real life way. As with any new framework, it takes time to figure out how to customize and apply it to what you do. But when they figured it out how to apply it to their business, they created a movement, right? Within just months of setting up their framework, Brad and Ryan qualified the 2 Comma Club. Now he's talking about the outcome, right? Mm-hmm. Made more than $1 million inside of one of their funnels. Within a year, they won a 2 Comma Club award, 10 million or more in sales. Inside this book, you're not only going to learn how to convert people to inside your funnels, but also learn how to become a leader. I believe that business and entrepreneurship is a calling we receive. My friend Ryan Moran once said to me, an entrepreneur is someone who takes personal responsibility for a problem that wasn't their own. Say that again. An entrepreneur is someone who takes personal responsibility for a problem that wasn't their own. In other words, Dan, they care more, right, about serving and solving a problem, maybe even more than the customer even believes. Kind of like I think about Steve Jobs, right? Coming out with something so innovative to solve, a lot of problems and make it very seamless and simple for people who didn't even really think about that they needed that or wanted that. He did it on such a level that's, changed the cell phone and the communication industry forever, right? But how do we do that on any kind of scale, right? Is starting with these kind of concepts. Any thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, I think in communication, repetition is very important. People say repetition. It's kind of like in real estate, you say location. So, but I just keep hearing him say tribe, community, these words. And as you were talking about the entrepreneurs caring, you're talking about an elite skill or mindset. When most people barely handle their own things, but an entrepreneur sees a need and steps into that and wants to meet that need. But to be elite also means to be alone, to be separate, because being elite means you're at the top, you're doing things that most people don't do. So I think most entrepreneurs don't feel like they're part of a tribe. They feel more like a lone ranger, like they're out there doing what other people are unwilling to do. And so I really like that he keeps talking about this idea of, yeah, you're doing that, but there's other people like you. And when you become a part of that group, there's inspiration, there's excitement, there's purpose, there's motivation for you to take your business to the next level. So don't just stay alone as a lone ranger doing elite things, which is great. Come and congregate with other people like you that can push you to that next level.
Absolutely. Love that. And let's continue to go here, and we'll be done with this chapter just in a few minutes, but this is good, some good momentum here. So, while most of the world runs away from problems, especially the ones that are their own, we see a problem and feel called to set up and figure out a way to solve it. Every good business started this way, with someone feeling called to take on a problem that wasn't their own, and that calling is special, right? So to believe that we're here for more than just ourselves, A, right? And even B, we're called to do things that are great, right? That are huge, that are big, that are world changing, and it could be changing one person's life, right? But it could also be changing a million people's lives, right? Each of us have a different calling, but it's our responsibility to step into that calling and to go for and to make the biggest impact while we can, right? So something you have experienced in your life started you on the path to create your business. It forced you to become more. You saw a problem, then you had to read, study, and experience with things you learned in order to create the solutions you offer to your clients. By going through this refining process, you've become who you are today, an expert. Most people then put their products up for sale and don't understand that their expertise is the key to actually selling the product. Your story, why you created this offer and started your movement, is what gets people to convert initially and continue to stay with you over time, right? So it's not just the product, it's that you went through that struggle or helped others go through that struggle and became an expert along the way to solve it in a better, more efficient, more amazing outcome way, right? Part of our value, one of our values is enthusiastically delivering wow, right? Well, the only way we can really do that here at Company Capital Gains Tax Solutions is to have been in the trenches and not done it in a wow way, right? In fact, done it the opposite, enthusiastically not delivering wow, right? It's the opposite. And then saying, oh, that hurt, and we want to do this in a better way, and so that we can anticipate, and we can take action and build systems around delivering wow, but also sharing that story of where you're at, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, we think that we forget. I mean, we forget, right? I think it's like my wife, and she had 5 children, right? And it's like, how'd you have 5? It's like, well, whether it's the good Lord or nature or whatever, people forget the pain and the struggle and the challenge it is to have babies, right? Men, we don't even really know, right? But, women. And so but I think you can take that concept of don't forget where you started and be able to share that story, which is what Russell will be laying out in his book here, which is incredible. It's called The Origin Story, okay? But I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll wrap up here. Just another page.
That goes back to authenticity too. Like, making sure you're authentically passionate about the thing that you're encouraging people to do. And so I think that ties in, like we said in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So your message has the ability to change someone's life. Okay. So it's having that mindset that your message and your story has the ability to change people's life. That impact, the impact that the right message can have on someone at the right time in their life is immeasurable. Your message could save marriages, repair families, change someone's health, grow a company, or more. So now he's showing also the future pacing, right? He's showing like what the outcome can be, and that it's more than just the product or service. It has the ability to change someone's life, which is huge, right? But only if you know how to get it into the hands of people whose lives you have been called to change. Expert Secrets will help you find your voice, give you the confidence to become a leader. Expert Secrets will show you how to build a movement of people whose lives you can change. Expert Secrets will teach you how to make this calling a career. As Sir Winston Churchill once said, to each there comes in their lifetime a special moment that they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing. unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. So your message matters, and this book is your figurative tap on the shoulder. Okay, so that's it. That's number one. We just covered. By the way, if you haven't got the book yet, go get the book, Expert Secrets. I'm telling you, it's the one book I've probably read more than most other books. I read a couple books repeatedly. This is one of them. Get the book. Give Russell some love on social media, all the things. Get to Funnel Hacking Live. I went there for the first time 6 months ago, and then I'm flying into the Paradise one for the 2 Comma Club stuff. I'm doing all the things. So if you're wondering how I'm building my company, this is a big way of how I'm building my company, and it's really cool. Expert Secrets is the book. Russell Brunson is the expert here, who's going to be teaching us how to become better experts. Dan, any last thoughts for anyone who's listening right now?
Yeah, I haven't read the book like we said, so I'm learning this for the first time, and so I'm very enthusiastic about what I'm hearing. It reminds me of a story. I'm a big sports guy, and I heard Chris Bosh in an interview talking about the U.S. Olympic team when they won the gold medal, and how he wanted to be elite. He wanted to be the best, and so he decided he was going to get up before breakfast and go and work out. And so when breakfast came, he would have already worked out. So he went down at about 5 a.m. to work out. And when he got to the gym, Kobe Bryant was already sitting in the bleachers with ice on his knees. And he realized Kobe has already worked out before I even got here. And for me, I just think, wow, that's like the example. That's, Kobe Bryant setting a legacy move, saying, I'm willing to do the extra work, and then inspiring the people on his team to meet him at that great place. And it resulted in a gold medal. And so, what we're reading this story reminded me of that, for every entrepreneur to set that example and then to build a tribe of people that are going to accomplish great things with them.
Absolutely love that. By the way, thank you everyone for listening. And next chapter will be creating your movement. We'll try to make this about once a week. And if you're wondering where this is all happening, this is our YouTube channels, Expert CRE Secrets. It's Expert Commercial Real Estate Secrets, and then it's also on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel as well. You can check all of that out. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, if you have an exit that's coming up that has highly appreciated assets, and you're looking for expertise to help you defer the capital gains taxes, to invest the wealth, unlock freedoms using the Deferred Sales Trust, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also have our book as well. It's called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. You can check that out as well. Thanks so much for listening.